Well, this should be fun. Hi guys, welcome back to the Social Tune, and today we tackle my next album review, the Hamilton Mixtape, by various artists, orchestrated by Lin-Manuel Miranda.
So scared of what your enemies might do to you, but you're the only enemy you ever seem to lose to. You know why Jefferson can do what he wants? He doesn't dignify schoolyard taunts with a response,
So, where do I even begin? Of course, you've all heard of the Broadway phenomenon Hamilton at this point, and if you haven't, get on it. It's said to be incredible. Of course, I wouldn't know, as I'm a student, and tickets to this show are impossible to get, not to mention wildly expensive. What I can tell you is that, like many of you probably did, I checked out the soundtrack. And that soundtrack is great. Not hitting gold every single time, but so often and so well that it definitely is a great experience. But you know what, let's just limit my advice to telling you to research Hamilton yourselves, because you'll probably get a lot more out of it than you ever could from me. Now, as for this mixtape, it's basically a cover album with a few experiments on it that either really work or miss completely, which ultimately amounts to 23 tracks, although it doesn't feel that long. In other words, this is not as good as the original soundtrack, but certain moments are so amazing that they actually transcend the original.
Don't discriminate between sinners and saints. And we keep loving anyway. We laugh and we cry, we break, we make our mistakes.
So let's just get the failures out of the way first. The first moment I really didn't like was the fifth track, which is called An Open Letter by internet rapper George Watski. It does not fit the tone of the album, and while I liked Watski as a kid, I've since heard far better and more charismatic rappers than him, and his voice is really unappealing on this track. Sorry. Next up you have track 12, You'll Be Back by Jimmy Fallon. Yes, Jimmy Fallon. It opens up with an uncomfortable skit on how he's not really a great singer, tee-hee, so funny. But after that over-the-top cringe fest, it actually transitions into his rendition of the song, and surprise surprise, it's not very good. Definitely way worse than the original. I don't know, I've never been huge on this guy anyway, maybe you'll like it, but I certainly didn't. And finally, you have John Legend's rendition of History Has Its Eyes on You. And I'll be blunt, it's not a very good song to begin with, and John Legend brings nothing new to the table. It was always kind of boring to me, and here it's no exception. Now let's move on to the tracks that aren't great, but are definitely admirable.
I wrote the code, the Waze app, I'm driven. Black Elohim from the streets of Queens. The definition of what it was written means. Know what I mean? I wrote my way out.
Well, you can start with Nas's Wrote My Way Out, with Aloe Black on the hook, and even Lin-Manuel shows up for a bit. And look, it's not the best song to begin with, but I will say that these guys bring a lot of personality to this track. And so they make it a pretty solid song, which would have been a lot better if it had more crescendos and build-up and, didn't feel so stilted. Still, it is a good song. Next up you have Lin-Manuel Miranda on his own on the demo Valley Forge, which is actually pretty striking, but it is a demo. It just feels a little unfinished. I don't know, maybe when that sequel mixtape that they've hinted at comes out, it'll be there and more fleshed out. For now though, it's just got a lot of potential. Next up you have another song by a singer who doesn't bring much new to the table, but this time it is one of the better tracks off the original soundtrack. Alicia Keys on That Would Be Enough. And look, of course she sounds gorgeous, but as in the last few years of her career, she doesn't bring much personality to the table. A pretty song with some swell, but not much momentum or groove. Next up you have Helpless with Ashanti and Ja Rule, and as I've said before, I usually hate it when these two collaborate. But I will say that Ashanti delivers one of her best performances in years. If only Ja Rule tried anywhere near as hard. But at least he's not awful, just kind of ridiculous, and again, he can sing. So this song is really good, but it could have been great. Jill Scott's performance on Say Yes to This would have been absolutely incredible if the writing on that song didn't piss me off so much anyway. J Period's Stay Alive interlude is pretty, but is too short and doesn't add anything. And finally, Wiz Khalifa delivers one of his better performances on Washington's By Your Side, but he really is out of his league here. Finally, let's dive into the best songs here. Some great, some absolutely mind-blowing.
You would like it uptown, it's quiet uptown. He is working through the unimaginable. His hair is gone gray, he passes every day.
Let's kick this off with the most consistent act here, with two great songs, classic hip-hop act The Roots. And while Who Tells Your Story with Colin and Ingrid Michaelson is great, their rendition of My Shot is fantastic. With electric guitars, a ton of swell and momentum, and it's made all their own. Incredible song. And speaking of incredible, Usher shows up here to give his rendition of Wait For It. And it's fantastic, easily one of his best songs in years. Of course he sounds amazing, and his natural charisma is incredibly infectious. Even outside of the context of the musical, this is still a fantastic song. Check it out. Then you have my first big surprise on this album, the breathtaking track Satisfied by Sia, Miguel, and Queen Latifah. And I'll be blunt, it's the best thing Sia has done since Chandelier. And honestly, it's even better than that song. Miguel's Hamilton impression is very convincing, and Queen Latifah's verse is just amazing, of course. Backed up with some eclectic production with some great crescendos, and you have an amazing song. Well done, guys. Next up, I want to discuss two songs that are great, but just not amazing. Knan's Immigrants and Dessa's Congratulations. The former has some great bilingual verses and an incredibly catchy chorus, and the latter is from one of my favorite rappers of all time, and while it is excellent, I can also point to about 20 songs of hers that I prefer to this. Next up you have Andra Day's Burn, which is beautifully performed, just incredible job there, well done. Lin-Manuel shows up again for a Hamilton original this time on Cabinet Battle 3, and yeah, it's just another demo, but it feels much more fleshed out this time. And finally, let's close off with probably the best songs of the bunch.
Dear Theodosia, what to say to you? You have my eyes, you have your mother's name.
Regina Spektor shows up to give a fantastic rendition of Dear Theodosia with Ben Folds, and it's amazing. It's gorgeous. But I'm sorry, the reprise with Chance the Rapper and Francis and the Lights is so breathtaking, with touches of auto-tune that haven't sounded this perfect and good since Kanye West's 808s and Heartbreaks, and two of the best vocal performances that either of these men have ever given, that it blows it completely out of the water. It has an instant chance of making my top 50 songs of the year, no joke. And last, but certainly not least, let's discuss Kelly Clarkson's rendition of It's Quiet Uptown. A tough, heartbreaking song about dealing with the death of a child. And I'll just come out and say it, it's the best thing she's ever done. I have never heard her sound this good, this utterly heartbreaking. Also, this is one of the few songs on the album with full backing instrumentation, and it pays off so well. It's an unbelievable track that takes your breath away and feels enormous. Amazing song. Now, I may have seemed harsh at times during this review, and the structure may have seemed a little bit different, but compilation albums are really hard to do well, and they're even harder to talk about. The best example that immediately comes to mind is Southern Family by Dave Cobb, and that album is a goddamn classic. Check out my year-end lists if you don't believe me. Do I wish that Lin-Manuel had at least got Davi Diggs from clipping here? Well, yes, but this is still a really valiant effort with very few misfires considering how long it is. And while I was initially going to give it a strong 7, I'm going to give it a light 8 for some really incredible high points. Definitely check out the original soundtrack if you haven't heard it yet, but if you have, check this out. It's definitely worth your time and money. And again, definitely check out the individual songs I highlighted because this album really did reach some incredible heights. Please post in the comments other projects that came out in December or that are coming out in January so that I can listen to them and possibly review them. Please subscribe so you don't miss a thing, and until the next time, I'm Finn, and this is The Social Tunes signing off.